The meeting's recording, Chair.
Thank you. Well, bore da, croeso i'r cyfarfod hyn. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Licensing Committee meeting held today, Monday, the 6th of July, via Teams. My name is Councillor Hugh Williams. I have the pleasure of chairing this meeting today. I'm going to ask other people to introduce themselves. And if I can, I'll start with my fellow members on the panel. So, Councillor Deborah.
Good morning, I'm Councillor Deb Edwards and I represent an area called Llangantlo with Norton. And
we have Councillor De Silva.
Hello, Laura. I'm Councillor Lauren De Silva and I represent Llandrindod South.
Right. We also have present, to make sure proceedings are done correctly, our clerk, Rachel Moore, who's a county solicitor. Sorry, I didn't ask you to introduce yourself there, but Rachel. Now then, can I go around asking the others to introduce themselves, please? Firstly, applicant Kushima, is that correct the way to say it? I'll forgive me if I'm correct, and please correct me.
Good morning. That's absolutely correct. My name is Kushima Gurung, and I'm the applicant on behalf of Nepali Village UK. Thank you.
Right, and we have a licensing consultant.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Nick Semper, and I'm up in Llanymynech, which is the frozen north of York County.
Right, we have others, I believe. There are community councillors. If you would introduce yourselves, please. I'm not sure if we have the clerk to the council, and we have Glyn Thomas and Simon McClellan. Can you please indicate that you're present, or if I'm correct with those?
Yes, it's Glyn Thomas, and I am present.
And Simon McClellan?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Simon McClellan, councillor for Talibon on us Community Council.
Right. Do we also have the clerk to the council?
No, we don't.
Right. Is there anybody I have missed out in this introduction, in this brief? We do have the council's representative as well. How can I forget? So, Alistair, if you could briefly introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alistair Bray, and I'm a licensing officer based at the council's Brecon offices.
Right, okay. Is there anybody else on screen that I've not introduced so that we all know who's present?
I'm David Evans.
Sorry?
David Evans.
Yes, David Evans.
And I'm a resident in the Abbey.
Are you an objector? Are you speaking? Are you...
No.
You're an observer?
I expressed strong concerns, but I didn't object as such.
Right, so you're an observer as such then, is that the fair way of describing you?
Yes, that would sum it up. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for that, and thank you all. I believe we may have two other people who are in the meeting as well. It could be Elgan Hearn and Colin Priest. Do either of those people are present, whether they need to announce themselves? They are observers as well. So that is the as far as I know. And there is also Natalie Jones. Natalie, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning. Natalie Jones, Licensing Team Manager. Generally an observer to the meeting, but can be called upon if requested. Thank you.
And good morning, Andrew Fundell. I'm an observer, owner of one of the adjacent properties, T. Wotton in Aber.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Thank you. Is there anybody else now? Have I got everybody?
Put it out from me. I'm Colin Priest. I'm a director of Nepali Village UK Limited, living in Llangors.
Observer as well.
Observer as well.
Okay, then I think.
And I'm Jade Land, and I'm the Democratic Services Officer. Thank you.
I'm Elgan Hearn, a journalist. I'm reporting on the meeting.
Shwmai Elgan.
Hello, Sidoti Hu.
Iawn. Right, I think we've got everybody now. There's a few people on the screen. So we will move into the formal part of it now. And so can I ask the council's representative, Alistair Bray, to introduce the presentation, please?
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, I've got County Solicitor Rachel Mole put a hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, would it assist if I outline the procedure for everyone's benefit this morning?
I think that would be an excellent idea, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so it's just to make everyone aware of the procedure that we have for the hearing this morning. It's not intended to be a formal hearing, but discussion led. But this procedure does ensure that everyone has ample opportunity to say everything that they want to say this morning. So we'll start off by the authority's licensing officer, Alistair, who will outline the report to the panel this morning. The panel can raise any questions that they wish to raise arising from that. Then it's over to the applicant. I understand he's got a representative here. So he will put forward the applicant's case for consideration by the panel. The objectors can raise any questions arising from that, so can the panel. Then it's over to each objector to put forward their representations that they wish the panel to consider. The chair will then make sure everyone's had ample opportunity to say everything they want to say and make any final closing statements. And then what will happen is the panel, together with myself, will withdraw from this online room into a private session. If you could remain here, once the decision has been made, the panel will return and the decision will be delivered verbally. I will then follow that up in writing together with any appeal mechanism. The observers here today don't have any right to speak, to contribute to the discussions. It's purely observation only. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rachel, and I apologise for leaving you out there. Now then, if we could move this now to Mr. Alistair Bray, who's the council representative, to put the details of the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The licensing team received an application on the 6th of May initially for a premises license under the Licensing Act 2003 from Nepali Village UK Limited. A copy of the application is in your pack, hearings pack at Annex A. A location map is also included at Annex B. Showing the property's grounds is included at Annex C, and a floor plan of the ground floor of the premises is produced at Annex D. Unfortunately, there have been some developments. I say unfortunately, it just makes life a little bit more confusing for everybody. But those annexes and the application have both been amended following the appointment of Mr. Semper, the licensing consultant that's been appointed by the applicant. And so that the application that was initially submitted has been amended so that the live music, recorded music and performance of dance has been removed from the proposal, so that now only the supply of alcohol for on sales between the hours of 11 AM and 11 PM, Sunday to Thursday, and between 11 AM and midnight on Friday and Saturday each week, and also between 1100 hours, 11 AM and 2 AM on the following day, on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and on Friday, Saturday and Sunday of bank holiday weekends remains for consideration. The applicant and the licensing authority satisfied all procedural obligations by both advertising the application as required by the Licensing Act 2003 and consulting with responsible authorities and others during the 28-day consultation period. representations, responsible authorities during the 28-day consultation period were responses were received from the police, Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Service, Environmental Protection, who deal with noise issues, and Trading Standards, with each indicating that they had no objection to the grant of the premises licence as applied for. The Banau Brycheiniog National Park Planning Authority's representation advised that the relevant planning consents would not permit the licensable activities proposed within the licence application to be carried out lawfully. The applicant has therefore requested that any grant of the licence be delayed from the 1st of September that was initially indicated to the 1st of December to allow time for the planning issues to be resolved. Notwithstanding this planning position, the application can still be granted by the committee as planning issues are deemed to be outside of the 4 licensing objectives. That is prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. The premises would, however, trade unlawfully if the planning issues were not fully addressed as breaches of the planning legislation would occur despite the grant of any licence from us today. Other representations, we received an objection to the granting of the licence in respect of this application on the grounds of public nuisance within the 28-day consultation period from the Talabont on Us Community Council. And the details of the representation are detailed and attached at Annex E. In addition, correspondence from 12 local residents were received who wished to raise their concerns in relation to the application, but when questioned did not wish to formally object to the application requiring their attendance at the hearing. The nature of the concerns raised by the local residents are covered by the objection submitted by the Community Council. If I can then refer you to my supplementary report, which was produced in light of Mr. Semper's appointment and his subsequent response and alterations to the application, which, as I mentioned, included removing the application to provide live music, recorded music, and the performance of dance. So since the publication of the licensing subcommittee hearing correspondence was received, correspondence was received from the applicant, which stated that they were willing to make significant concessions in respect of the application, whereby they were prepared to accept the request for strict conditions that were requested by the Community Council to be imposed, including the cessation of alcohol sales, live music, recorded music and dancing no later than 10:30 p.m. And a number of other items that were requested by the objection. And this offer of concession from the applicant was rejected by the objector on the grounds that a number of concerns also remained unresolved. And they were concerned that there was an absence of clarity regarding the intended scale and nature of the proposed operation and frequency of events, potential impact of increased traffic, parking and visitors numbers within the rural hamlet of Aber, the adequacy, monitoring and enforceability of the proposed noise management measures, the likelihood of noise and disturbance arising from guests arriving, departing and using external areas, particularly during periods of warm weather, and the cumulative impact of the proposed development on the character, tranquility and residential amenity of the village. On the 1st of July, the applicant notified the licensing team that a licensing consultant, Mr. Semper, had been appointed to represent the company at the licensing subcommittee hearing, and contact with the consultant included the provision of a revised description and operating schedule, together with revised interior and exterior plans of the property. And they are attached here at annexed F, G and H. Bear with me, sorry, Chair. Going back to the main report, the options in determining the application for the premises license, the subcommittee must take such steps that are considered appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, which, as I mentioned before, are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. If appropriate, make reference to the Licensing Act guidance or our licensing policy if it relates to any other points raised by objectors. The options are, therefore, to A, grant the application as submitted by the applicant without modification. B, grant a license with modified times and or conditions. Or C, reject the whole or part of the application. Determination. The licensing subcommittee is requested to determine the application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alistair. I turn to my fellow committee members. Are there any points for clarification or questions you need to ask the licensing officers? Sorry, Simon, this is for the panel at this moment. Councillor De Silva.
Yes, I noticed in the application several mentions of the previous use of the premises as a hotel, and I'm wondering whether we can have any history on that, please.
Yes, a planning permission reference K13841 dated the 9th of September 1994 is the relevant permission here. That was granted at that time for the change of use of a hotel to a residential dwelling and denomination training centre. And that stipulated a number of conditions. The total number of persons attending the premises at any time should not exceed 8 staff and 21 others. A further condition, condition 4, was no organised group activities, gathering or assemblies shall take place except within the existing building, and at no time should numbers exceed those in condition 3, which was the numbers I outlined previously, unless otherwise agreed in writing by the National Park Committee. Condition 5, this permission shall only benefit the Friends of the Western Buddhist Order Sarana and no other persons or group. And condition 6, the use hereby permitted shall be for a class C2 use as only as defined, class 2 use only as defined by the Town and Country Planning Use Classes Order, as restricted by the previous conditions. So that was the representation received from the Banau Brycheiniog National Park Authority, and those issues are currently being discussed and sought to overturn, I believe, by the applicant.
Thank you.
Any comeback on that, Councillor De Silva? Are you satisfied?
I would be, and I know this is probably digging far back into the archives. I would have been interested to know about the building's operations as a hotel prior to that change of use, if we've got any information, please. I know that is a long time ago now.
Yes, I haven't got any information to that, Councillor De Silva, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Councillor Deborah, do you have any observations, clarifications, requirements?
No, I think Alistair answered what was going to be my question, which was the planning. So it's obviously National Park. If National Park is obviously waiting for the planning permission for change of use again, Alistair, is that?
That's as I understand it, Councillor Edwards. Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I have no question directly. We've had the pack and the supplementary and Alistair's presentation. So it's been pretty thorough, in fairness. So I will now move on to the applicant, and it is the Nepali Village UK Limited. Now, I'm not sure who will speak. Is it Kusiman Gurung himself, the applicant, or his representative, Simon McClellan?
It's me, sir.
Simon, did I?
No, it's Nick Semper.
Where are we? Oh, Nick. Sorry, Nick.
How are you?
Sorry. Sorry, I got it at the...
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, Simon, sorry. Right. So, Nick, are you going to be speaking on behalf of the applicant?
I certainly am. Are you ready to hear from me, sir?
I certainly am.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am Nick Semper from the licensing guys, and we are representing the applicant being Nepali Village UK Limited here today. Aberclydach House is an impressive 8,840 square foot country house, offering a versatile property with a rich history. Previously operating as a retreat centre, this expansive property has also previously served as a hotel and conference venue. Set within 1.6 acres of grounds and surrounded by picturesque farmland, it provides a peaceful and inspiring environment. It is being acquired by an organisation which plans its conversion into a proposed hotel and retreat run by former Gurkha soldiers and their families to celebrate Nepali culture within our beautiful Welsh countryside. However, this facility will be inclusive, and all cultures and faiths are welcome to avail themselves of their facilities and hospitality. The Managing Director and proposed designated premises supervisor is Kusiman Gurung, a former commissioned army officer, a member of the Royal Victorian Order, itself a prestigious honour bestowed personally by our monarch for services to the Crown. He is now a successful businessman and restaurateur with a history of impeccable premises management within our county. Both he and his organisation have no intention of running any establishment which might prove to be anything less than an asset to the local community and which would never undermine any licensing objective. This will not be a party venue, and excessive vertical drinking is not encouraged or indeed welcomed. Rather, we request that residents and visitors be allowed the modest consumption of alcohol during their stays, mainly as an ancillary activity to their dining experience. Now, having read the representation, I believe there is only one representation and therefore only one representative against us today. Anyway, the representation was prompted by the application for this premises license, so Major Gurung made an offer of concessions. These were rejected by that sole representative, being the Community Council, and therefore are no longer applicable. We were instructed, i.e. the licensing guys, and set about drafting a new operating schedule, proportionate, enforceable conditions, and a set of revised plans which constrict all licensable activities purely to within the building itself. This is shown as a solid red line. Some of the grounds are now bound by a blue line, denoting a consumption area, which allows people to enjoy their drinks outside, for example, when sitting under a gazebo or dining al fresco. I will now address you on regular entertainment, i.e. live and recorded music and a performance of dance. The Licensing Act 2003, open brackets, Description of Entertainment Amendment, close brackets, Order of 2013, known as, amongst lawyers, and you are very ably advised today by Rachel, as the 2013 Regulation Order, came into force on the 27th of June 2013 and amended Schedule 1 of the Licensing Act 2003 to remove the licensing requirement for certain entertainment activities, including live and recorded music and performances of dance within specified limits. Thus, any live and recorded music or dance performances to audiences of less than 500 persons between 0800 in the morning and 2300 hours at night are no longer licensed activities and or when conducted on licensed premises. Consequently, we expunge all requests for live and recorded music and dance performances with immediate effect. Okay, no form of regular entertainment is now applied for, and therefore, with massive respect, in our submission, the authority cannot condition something which isn't licensable. We have also provided a new operating schedule commensurate with what is being proposed. Now, each application, of course, must be judged on its own facts and merits. The significant merits of this application is that it is a now qualified application for a quality operation, now correctly conditioned with specific, appropriate and proportionate control measures, thus minimizing any potential that any licensing objective would be undermined. Now, in this hearing, the burden is on the applicant, myself and the Major, to show that the proposed operation supported by the newly proposed operating schedule is capable of promoting the licensing objectives and will not undermine them. Any representative opposing the application has the burden to show that these premises, trading under the operating schedule before you, will undermine the licensing objectives and demonstrate that with evidence. In our submission, any subcommittee properly advised could only refuse this application if it is found on the evidence of the sole representative to be not capable, even after the insertion of additional conditions by your good selves here this morning, of promoting the licensing objectives. So why do they need evidence? Because para 9.43 of Section 182 guidance clearly states, this issued by the Secretary of State to do with the Licensing Act, clearly states that the authority's decision, i.e. your determination, should be evidence-based. This is indeed an evidence-based decision-making process we're engaged in today. Significantly, there is not a shred of evidence before you today that challenges or criticizes in any way the premises, the operating schedule, the applicant, or the designated premises supervisor whatsoever. It's just that these premises lie within Talybont on Usk, and some people don't like the idea of it as they speculate that it could grow into something far beyond what is proposed by Major Gurung and the Nepali Village UK. But there is no history of drunkenness, disorder, noise complaints, or indeed any other cause for concern evidenced involving these premises, or this applicant, or any other business run by him or his associates or the limited company before you. That is a simple, undeniable, and self-evident fact. None of the responsible authorities, not the police, licensing authority, environmental health, trading standards, public health, fire and rescue services, planning, highways, or children's services, has objected to this application. As demonstrated, this is an evidence-based decision-making process. You, as a committee, cannot, in my humble submission, be insensible to the fact that not one of the lead or expert responsible authorities in powers has objected to this application or has presented any evidence against it. You can therefore rightly assume, again in my submission, that in the opinion of all the responsible authorities, this application does not undermine the licensing objectives. Otherwise, they would be on this meeting with evidence to argue vehemently against it, as is their statutory duty. We're left then with the objection, the sole objection from Talybont Community Council. They recognise that Aberclydach House has historically operated in forms of hospitality and do not object in principle to modest hospitality activities, including the consumption of alcohol by residents or guests. That is great, because that's exactly what's being proposed here in this application. They cite no evidence of any issues with the operation of these premises in a hospitality function in the past, but instead want to speculate about anything and everything that could possibly go wrong, especially around public nuisance. Most specifically, and I'll list them off. Potential noise from live and recorded music. There is none now proposed on the new iteration of this application. Past reports of loud music and karaoke in the village have nothing to do with us and so cannot be held to our detriment. Late night dispersal. This will be a hotel panel and people will be staying there to relax. There will be no big noise keeping everyone up at night, else the lobby will be full of irate guests the following morning demanding their money back. Traffic and parking are not even mentioned in the Licensing Act at all and are purely a matter for the highways and planning authorities. Cumulative impact, okay. There is no evidence or possibility of cumulative impact problems in licensing terms, as cumulative impact is defined at para 14.21 of the Section 182 guidance as, and I quote, serious nuisance and disorder caused by a proliferation of licensed premises at a particular location. These premises sit within its own grounds and not in a nighttime economy epicenter of a city centre. Okay, planning. Planning's come up, let's deal with that. The Section 182 guidance is clear on planning because para 14.65 clearly of the Section 182 guidance clearly states that planning permission, and I quote again, planning permission, building control and licensing regimes will be properly separated to avoid duplication. Consequently, I respectfully posit that all planning matters are irrelevant considerations for the licensing authority today. Now, the Community Council believes that the proposed hours and activities are disproportionate to the location and character of ABBA. How can that be, as Aberclydach House has been a hospitality venue for years without issue? There is talk of it fundamentally altering the character of the hamlet, setting an undesirable precedent and an intensification of commercial entertainment and loss of amenity. Well, it is an opinion, and people are entitled to that. But it is not one for the licensing committee. The issues raised sit purely within the planning authority. And in any event, none of the consequences feared by the Community Council are proposed in this application, or indeed even envisaged or sought by the applicant. It is what it is. A Nepali cultural centre, residential retreat, an occasional small conference centre, not a J.D. Wetherspoons, not a vertical drinking sports bar, not a nightclub or a rave-orientated drug supermarket. Now, I do need to address you very briefly on fear and speculation, and your lawyer will be able to advise you when you retire on this. So I'm going to be quick. The Community Council speculate that were you to grant this application today, then they fear that certain problems might ensue, i.e. that this residential retreat operating quietly and competently by ex-Gurkhas will descend into an epicentre of serious nuisance and serious disorder. There are two main reasons why fear and speculation are not admissible in these proceedings in my submission. Firstly, para 9.43 of the 182 guidance I've already told you clearly states that your determination, your decision should be evidence-based. Fear and speculation about what might or might not happen at some undisclosed point in the future, and as a consequence of any decision made here this morning, is plainly not evidence. It is what it is. It is fear and speculation. And secondly, there was a ruling in the stated case of Daniel Thwaites and Wirral Magistrates 2008. Went to the Queen's Bench Division, and Her Honour Justice Black, the judge in that case, was absolutely superb. She said many things, but amongst her other decisions was that she stated that your judgment, her judgment, should say that her judgment is that conditions should only be attached to a license with a view to promoting the licensing objectives, and that actual evidence must support the reason to impose conditions or indeed refuse an application. There is no history of problems with these premises now or ever in the past. Nothing before you from the responsible authorities, who are your licensing experts in Powys. I can see one or two on the call already. And the potential for any such issues is more than properly addressed in the attendant proposed conditions. And in any event, Chair, Parliament has already provided a mechanism, a statutory mechanism, to deal with any future problems emanating from licensable activities at these or indeed any other premises in Powys, and that is the premises license review provided by Section 51 of the Licensing Act. So, were you to grant this application this morning and problems ensue, then a mechanism to control them is already self-evidently provided through the aforementioned Section 51 review process. So what I'm saying is, this isn't a car. If you were to issue this license today, and it won't be actuated until the 1st of December, look in my notes here, It's not a carte blanche to do what you want. Okay, it is a conditional permission that can be revoked at any time. Okay, so I'll rest now with your permission and deal with any further questions or queries in summary, but ask you to look favourably on this modest and well-conditioned application. You may want to hear from the Major yourself, sir. Okay, thank you.
Well, Nick, thank you for that very comprehensive presentation. I'm not sure I remember the numbers and what have you that you mentioned, but thank you for that. Right, I will turn, unless we would like to have a presentation from Kushiman Gurung. Would you like to speak now and then take questions, or how would you rather it be? Kushiman, would you like to say something?
I will have a very short statement, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members of the panel. Thank you for your time and considering our application. Our intention is simply to operate Aberclydach House as a small, quiet guest house or hotel, consistent with its historical use. We are not seeking to large event or party venue or activities that would alter the character of our village. We aim to become a valued part of the local community, and we are committed to maintaining open communication with the residents, responding promptly to any concern, and working closely with the licensing authority and environmental health. Throughout this process, we have listened carefully to the concern raised by the Community Council and the local resident, and we fully understand the importance of protecting the peace, tranquility, and rural character of our village. I would like to reaffirm that Nepali Village UK Limited is committed to operating Aberclydach House responsibly and in a manner that fully respects those values. In summary, we are proposing a low-impact, well-managed operations that will safeguard the local community's interest, while enabling the historical property to continue to be used, maintained, and preserved for the future. We hope to demonstrate through our actions that Aberclydach House can be responsible, respectful, and valued neighbour within the community. Thank you again for your time and careful consideration.
Thank you very much for that. So the applicants have stated their case. I turn to my fellow panel members again. Councillor De Silva, do you have a question or need clarification on any points that have been raised by Nick Semper and Kushiman Gurung?
Not at this stage, thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Deborah Edwards, do you have any questions, clarification points?
No, I'm good, Chair, until we've heard the objections and the summaries. Thank you.
Right, and I'm the same. I think we've had a quite comprehensive presentation. I do offer the objectors who have nominated themselves, if you like, as objectors, they can ask the applicant a question if they or questions if they choose to. So I turn Simon McLennan, and sorry for getting you in the wrong order earlier on, or Glyn Thomas, or both. Do you have a question that you would wish to put to the applicant?
If I can come in, Chair, please. It's interesting, and I do appreciate Mr. Semper's added sort of adjustments to the way that the Nepali village are going to be carried out within the Aberclydach House project. I think, just to be clear, and if I can with the committee, please, that since this licensing request has gone out, there seem to be several adjustments that have been made to it, and these are adjustments that I think are positive and in line with what the Community Council wanted to achieve, which is the no outdoor music, no outdoor live music, no outdoor recorded music.
Sorry, man. Can I ask, you will have an opportunity in the next thing. So if you are beginning to present your case, I'm sorry to be not polite here, if it seems like. Do you have a question on the presentation before you? Then you have an opportunity to put your case and whatever. So I'm sorry for interjecting there, but I was hoping you weren't going into your presentation. Sorry, Simon.
It was, sorry, Chair, I was purely trying to get to the point that I just to be reclarified around the expectation for the licensing, and that was the removal of the outdoor music, outdoor live music, outdoor dance. Was that correct, Nick?
Yes, it's not actually dancing that's licensed, it's the performance of dance.
The performance of dance.
Okay, yeah, that is now beyond the scope of the license because I explained the deregulation order of 2013. So if you go to the most recent plan, Simon, that that Alistair served on you, Appendix F maybe.
Just to note, Nick, I do not believe the Community Council has had the latest plans. I'm still looking at an annex that was provided to me, I think, on the 26th of June. So if there's been an update since then, the Community Council haven't seen it to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, well, there has been an update, and I can tell you what it is. The licensable area.
Nick, with respect, can I ask, Alistair, would you be aware if this update has been provided to the Community Council, and would the Community Councillors have had that if it was sent to the clerk? Alistair?
Sorry, Chair, I'm having trouble with my mic. I hope you can hear me now. I think I've managed to turn it back on. Yeah, the supplementary report and the additional annexes and Nick Semper's revised plans and operating schedule were passed to our Democratic Services team on Friday. Jade unfortunately was on leave, but I sent it to another officer and was advised that it was, I think the word was that they used was published. So I assume that meant that it was made available to everyone that it should have been.
Right.
We don't send those out from licensing. They go out from Democratic Services.
Right, and that would include the Community Council, Alistair, because I can vouch that it has come to us as panel members, as councillors. So it has been distributed, and forgive me for interjecting here, I guess I'm just trying to ascertain whether it's come out to the Community Council and perhaps, well, perhaps anything.
Perhaps Jade would have a better idea than I would on that one.
So an update came through on Friday, which was published onto the public website, which is where all the documents can be found on the Powys site.
Thank you, Jade.
Okay, thank you, Jade. Simon.
So sorry, Chair. Thank you, Jade. I think because it was obviously published on that Friday, that I wasn't aware those documents were available there, to be honest, from myself. But we'll have to accept that they were published.
Okay. Simon, do you have another question or something that you would wish to ask? And then I'm going to ask, is it Councillor Glyn Thomas if he has any questions or points of clarification? Is Councillor Glyn Thomas here?
Yes, he is. It's just one technical one. Could you please tell me what the licensing review law process is?
Councillor Glyn, that didn't seem to be very, whether it's just me, it didn't seem to be very clear. Would you mind repeating it if you can, please?
Just inquiring about the licensing review law, how it's processed.
The licensing review law, who would take that?
I can answer that. Okay. When anybody, the responsible authorities usually, but any member of the public is unconvinced that the licensing objectives are being promoted and are indeed being undermined, then they launch use under the Section 51 procedure, and there'll be a form to fill in on your website, and Natalie will probably point you to it. You can ask for a license to be reviewed, and you produce the evidence to show that the licensing objectives aren't being promoted, and then we return to another hearing like this in due course. It's a statutory procedure, so it's Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003.
Okay, thank you.
Can I Sorry, Glenn. Can I ask the Richard Mole, the clerk to the committee?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm just wondering, could Alistair or Natalie come in and put their comments that from the licensing authority's perspective, just for balance of proceedings?
In respect of what exactly, Rachel? Sorry.
What's just been said in terms of a review of a license, so the process from your perspective, the licensing authority.
Yeah, of course. We would receive an application. I would expect residents to contact us first where they have concerns. In most cases, residents prefer to be involved with the appropriate responsible authority. So, for example, if it was noise nuisance, they might prefer to deal with our environmental protection team, who would investigate the complaints on behalf of the residents and therefore review the license by submitting an application to review with us. Thus meaning that the local residents don't have to put their names forward. It's basically a way of getting the issues addressed without perhaps putting their head above the parapet, and the responsible authorities will take it forward. It sometimes will involve environmental protection, sometimes it'll involve the police, sometimes it will be a joint application from both, and that application will be considered, we will end up at a hearing very similar to this one potentially to determine the outcome.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Glynn, are you satisfied with that response?
Yes, thank you.
Right, okay then. Councillor McClellan, is there anything else that you need to ask of the applicant's presentation?
Please, but I think Councillor Deborah was waiting to speak, Chair.
I'll be coming to Councillor, perhaps to the panel well, just after you speak, if Councillor Deborah, unless there's a point of order.
No, Chair, it was just a question, so quite happy to let.
Yeah, I'll come back to you now, Councillor, if you would, please. So, Councillor Simon.
So just to note, thank you, Jade, for sending through the documentation and the annexes. I appreciate that. It's really helpful. We noticed there that, Nick pointed out this was not going to be a party venue. But is there going to be? I mean, if we had this, would there be a license condition that this wouldn't be a party venue? I mean, just the applicant ascertaining that doesn't hold that to clarity for the community council. Sorry.
You would, in my submission, you wouldn't a license condition written that it can't be used to party. I mean, how would that work? Para 2.17, I think, or the 182 guidance. I'll check it in a minute, but they have to be actually very, very specific. Now, what's a party? Okay, I might want to celebrate my 60th birthday up there with a handful of people. That would be my birthday party. Okay, I think what you're concerned about is large noisy gatherings, and the operating schedule we have offered takes all licensable regulated entertainment off the table. You cannot condition something that is not licensable. Okay. So bearing in mind that regulated entertainment, performances of dance and live and recorded music are no longer on the face of this license, that should, in my submission to the panel and to yourself, obviously, is that should be sufficient.
Okay. Are you satisfied that, Councillor McClellan, with the response? You may not be, the content may be not of your, but are you satisfied you've had a response?
I'm satisfied that Mr. Semple has responded to that.
Okay, thank you. I will turn, if that's okay, then to, in fairness, Councillor Edwards, we are still questioning the applicant here, mind you. So these are questions on the applicant. So, and Councillor Edwards did indicate that she'd like to ask a question, and so has Councillor De Silva. So with respect, I suppose, if it's to do with the questions to do with the applicant's presentation,
No, it's fine, Chair, by me.
Okay, Councillor De Silva, do you have a question?
It's just a point of clarification, Chair, that I think with the later documents that came through, just needs raising that the concessions that were made, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, the concessions that were made by Nepali Village UK Limited are now off the table. That's what I understood. So because they were not, those concessions were not accepted and the objection went ahead, and that's my understanding. They're now off the table and those concessions are no longer relevant. Is that?
You've absolutely nailed it, Councillor. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you. Unless there's a question that somebody, right, I'll come back to you, Simon. Councillor McClellan, if yes, do you have a question? Bear in mind, we're still on the applicant's presentation here.
I do have a question, please, Chair.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Just to ask the applicant as well, you've obviously modified this licensing request. We can still see from Annex H the area of consumption of alcohol sitting outside of the building. And again, it is with this application, this area to be used within those licensing hours of alcohol consumption. So could we be expected a bank holiday or another holiday period, Christmas, etc., to have, not that you would be a bit cold, but to have people sitting outside, drinking alcohol, consuming alcohol with the conversational noise out to possibly 2 o'clock in the morning, I think it was set at.
Right, another good question. The consumption of alcohol is not a licensable activity, okay, and therefore is, with respect, beyond the consideration of the of this committee. Okay, it's the sale and supply of alcohol that is the licensable activity that can be conditioned. Now, yes, technically, people could sit out in anywhere really until 2 o'clock in the morning. They're not going to. That's not the purpose of the application. That's not what we're proposing here. And but you know, I don't know, midnight or whatever, I take a glass of brandy outside with my vape or my cigarette, and I stand on the veranda and enjoy it. That's basically about the size of it.
Sorry, Chair, can I come back? Just to note, though, that you are representing that as a single person, possibly at home, standing out, having a brandy and having a vape. That is not the noise level that you could potentially get from a group of people quite happily discussing late night following the consumption of alcohol. So that's a very different description you provide there, Nick.
Yes. The no noise or nuisance should emanate from these premises. That is our position. If people are making an absolute racket outside, then Mr. Major Gurung and his team will stop it, as would happen in any licensed premises in the county. Okay, or should happen, I should say. That's a fairer choice of words. Okay, this will not be a vertical drinking, noisy premises that will attract young people who want to engage in those kind of activities. And I return you to my original position that no live and recorded music or performance of dance will take place outside that red line, and the consumption of alcohol is not a licensable activity and is therefore beyond the remit of this panel. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor McClellan, can I respectfully ask you, you put in, as an objector, you're entitled to put your case, whether it's, I presume it's on behalf of the Talabon and Usk Council, and is Councillor Glyn Thomas likewise going to speak as an objector, as a named objector?
No, I'm not. I've spoken with Simon and we've agreed on the comments he's about to make.
Right, then, in which case, thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor McClellan, are you prepared now to give the presentation on behalf of the Town Council, of the Community Council? Thank you.
That was quite an upgrade there, Chair. Please, if I may. So just to note as well, for clarity, I am on the Talibon Community Council. I am also a resident of Aber, so I also live within the hamlet itself. But today I'm talking on behalf of the Tallybontnus Nuss Community Council and presenting their formal objection that contained within that licensing sub-pack. I know that we've now had it superseded, and some of the points I was going to talk to today were around the challenge of music, etc. And just from the outset, I really need to say that the Community Council is not opposed to tourism, okay? It's not opposed to hospitality businesses or cultural initiatives, and we recognise that they contribute to the local economy and can benefit the rural communities when managed appropriately. The Community Council's objection should not be interpreted as opposition to the applicant or to the wider project either, just to make that clear. But our role is still to represent the interests of all residents fairly. We simply ask that any licence activities are proportionate to this location and include safeguards that protect both existing residents and the qualities that make ABBA attractive for visitors. And I still think, even though it has and gratefully significantly been modified, we're still concerned around Licensing Act objective around preventing public nuisance. And there are still concerns, even now, around sufficient safeguards being in place. Just for the councillors' benefit, I'd like to lay out how ABBA is, the introduction to ABBA as an area, if you're a person visiting ABBA, okay? So ABBA is a very small rural hamlet accessed by a single track highway and consists of around 18 properties, which are probably within about 300 metres of the licensing request. The hamlet itself is characterised by tranquility. We've got dark skies zone being in the national park, exceptionally low background noise, particularly during the evening. And this peaceful environment is also valued not just by the residents, but by the visitors, wildlife, which include things like bats, otters and ospreys, all transit in the area close to the licensing Aberclydach House. We already have several established holiday cottages. We already have a shepherd's hut business, and the guests regularly write in the visitors books that they return year after year because of peace, quiet, tranquility, etc. And it's also why the current premises are being used as a Buddhist retreat and have successfully been used as a Buddhist retreat for many years. Their approach is very quiet. They respect access to the retreat at times that were agreed within their original license for it. And we have had a very pleasant, as a community and as a community council, engagement with the current users. We've obviously, as I noted to Mr. Semper, that we have concerns still around the alcohol, the consumption of alcohol and the extension to 2 AM, and around the footprint that this alcohol may be consumed upon, especially in the summer. Okay. We were going to talk about acoustic assessments and noise management plans. Again, they're off the table now. We don't need to discuss that if the licence is not requesting it. There are still concerns around, although we've heard it's going to be a small cultural hotel that is also wider, it may be visited by wider groups of people. But again, there's still absence of clarity around the actual true scale of the site and the nature or proposed frequency, if they still are going to carry out any late night events, drinking, etc. I feel that this application is asking the members within this committee to place considerable reliance on good intentions without providing that sort of detailed operational measures appropriate really for such a sensitive rural location. And I know Mr. Semper noted that the Community Council were potentially speculating on these challenges, but we have had reports to the Community Council around late night music or partying, which of course anybody's entitled to do, that have occurred on the original Aberclydach farm site. I think the key thing to understand is that noise in Aber travels quite significantly. The Aberclydach House is higher than the majority of the Aber hamlet, and that noise will travel out through and across to the residents and visitors that stay within Aber. Now, we're talking now about the removal of the outdoor entertainment, fine. But with the hotel, there's still going to be light pollution from the hotel itself, if this is the licensable activity we're after. People are not going to sit outside in the dark consuming alcohol, I would hope, for safety reasons, if nothing else. So we've potentially got light pollution in a dark skies area. Again, this may be touched on by the National Parks Planning Authority elements. We're still expecting to have vehicle movements late at night, which, you know, we're already at a single track highway that is quite restrictive, but then we're going to be having headlights, doors closing, outdoor conversations. And this has a cumulative effect on the residents. And we have to remember that when the license is prescribed, it's not just an occasional position for this license. Potentially there could be disruption from people consuming alcohol outside of the property 365 days a year. Just to set that, there could be potentially that challenge. Okay. I think that if the members grant today, we just need to ensure that there are robust and appropriate conditions around the Licensing Act, and I think if that is set, then it would help provide reassurance both for the residents but also for the applicant by establishing clear applications from the outset. And I just think that it's not whether a hospitality business should be operated in ABBA. It's about ensuring that the permanent license activities are compatible with a quiet residential community and accompanying sort of existing tourism business. And that is around tranquility and escape. That's not around people drinking. That's not around noise from people consuming alcohol and or related transition between the premises and leaving. And I think the Community Council really just respectfully asks that any license that's granted contains those sufficient safeguards to protect residents and visitors from public nuisance and try to make sure that we contain and continue this peaceful environment. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McClellan. That's a very, again, detailed presentation. Thank you. The Major Gurong or Nick now have a right to ask questions of you. And there are questions in that the applicant's presentation has been, but do you have any questions of the presentation made by the objector?
There's nothing from me because I can deal with all that in summary, if that's okay.
Yes, okay. Major, does that apply to you as well?
Nothing from me as well at the moment.
Right. Well, I'll thank you all for that. I don't think the people who are entitled to speak have had their view, but I would now ask people to summarise, if you like, what their presentation has been to conclude each presentation from the applicant and the objectors. So can we go to the applicant in the first instance? Mr. Semper, I believe you'll be here.
No, sir. I believe I go last.
Right, so it's Major. Sorry. In order of the presentation. Okay, that's right. Where are we? Right, so it's Councillor McClellan then. Just to sum up your objection, really.
I think just to sum up, the objection still remains around the potential for public nuisance, and it's still linked, without the outdoor music, etc. It's still linked to the consumption of alcohol. It's still linked to the consumption of alcohol outside, and the risk of noise and or light pollution from those elements, please.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll turn now to Nick or the Major to sum up.
Certainly, that'll be me again.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Thank you, Councillor McClellan. Right, now you've described ABBA, and it's beautiful. Peace, quiet, tranquility, the escape. You value that. Well, actually, so do we. And we don't want it trammelled either. We there's talk about late night events. We have no intention of this becoming a nightclub. You ask us, you say that good intentions are not enough. How do you evidence good intentions other than stating exactly what we wish to establish here, which we have done, and so has the Major? We thank you that you're not against this proposal, the proposal of its being converted, not against, you're not in opposition to the applicant or the operation. Okay. I am sorry that you have experienced late night music and partying in the vicinity, but let me assure you, it has nothing to do with us. and consequently can't go to our detriment. You say that robust conditions are required. They are required, and you have them in the amended operating schedule that's been served upon you. I'm sorry that it came to you late, but it was published online seemingly. Now look, this hearing, Chair and Committee, is simply about whether this Nepali retreat, hotel and small conference venue, operating in accordance with the revised operating schedule, which includes the comprehensive raft of conditions, which has attracted, even in its unamended state, no adverse comment from any responsible authority, would it undermine, or would it promote the licensing objectives? Now, very clearly, our position is that it will not undermine them. We don't want to undermine them. It'd be bad for business. It would end up in a Section 51 review. Okay? We have established that there is no recorded history or indelible evidence of noise nuisance, drunkenness, antisocial behaviour, crime and disorder issues with the operation of these premises, or indeed any other premises operated by the applicant, or indeed any other cause for concern evidenced involving this applicant before you. That is just simply an undeniable and self-evident fact. And so we're left with speculating that there may be large groups of people out on the veranda till 2 o'clock in the morning making a lot of noise. It's not evidence. You fear it and you speculate about it. The Major says it isn't going to happen. And were it to happen, then you have your Section 51 review procedure, which is a statutory remedy to failing to promote the licensing objectives. Consequently, Chair and panel, I respectfully request that you do indeed grant this application for the premises licence as amended and sought, supported by that comprehensive raft of effective conditions and any others that you deem appropriate proportion to the promotion of the licensing objectives. Remember now that all regulated entertainment, live and recorded music and performances of the dance has been expunged from this application and is therefore beyond the scope of any license. And in doing so, you wish this applicant, their establishment and their community every success going forward in the wonderful county of Powys. Thank you so much.
Diolch yn fawr, thank you. I will ask if anybody who has, on behalf of the applicant or the council's representative or objectors, do they have any question or comment that they wish to ask, whether they've forgotten previously? I'm open to anybody to go back and mention something. Councillor McClellan.
Chair, if I may, the only thing I would add to this, as I continue to review, is I think if we are discussing, or as the panel discusses, the consumption of alcohol outside, is that maybe there should be a limitation on the consumption of outside alcohol to a sensible time. Please.
Mr. Semper, I'll give you the right to reply if you...
Okay, all I'd say is consumption is not a licensable activity, okay? It's only the sale and supply, all right? If the premises becomes the bear garden that you think it might, then the remedy is provided by the Section 51 review procedure. We have no intention of causing any problems to anybody through raucous, bad behaviour in the beautiful, peaceful, tranquil village of Aber that we all value. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councillor De Silva who has a hand up. Do you have a comment or clarification required?
It's a clarification request, please, because Councillor McClellan spoke several times about the dark skies and about the narrow roads. I'm under the impression that goes beyond our remit, but please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's National Park, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That is correct. I also have Natalie Jones who wishes to ask a question or seek clarification.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to offer clarification more than anything, which was around Nick Semper's comment about consumption not being licensable, which is quite right. we don't, there isn't, it's not a licensable activity, so it can't be conditioned. But Mr. McLennan was correct in that there are conditions which could be placed on a license, which refer to on sales and off sales, which can restrict the licensable area of not taking open vessels outside after a certain time. So while consumption isn't licensable, there are other avenues that could be considered. And as well, I just wanted to expand on the review process, because, you know, perhaps that wasn't explained fully. Just, you know, it's not just licensing that some of these issues that have been raised. There are other authorities that might deal with some of the issues that Mr. McLennan has raised. We can only deal within the, you know, what's in our licensing remit. So like the traffic issues that you refer to and the noise issues, that's perhaps our colleagues elsewhere. But there is the review process, and any responsible authority, and indeed any person, can bring a review. So should there be issues with this license in the future, I just want to offer assurances that there is the licensing review mechanism that can be taken by any person, you know, to review this license in the future, where, you know, perhaps if there are issues, you would then have the evidence needed. But hopefully that won't be the case. Thank you.
Thank you. I personally believe that everybody has had an ample opportunity to present all aspects of their case. Unless somebody indicates otherwise, I will ask the people present here today, or I'll say that the panel, the procedure is now that we will withdraw from this meeting. Please don't go away. We will withdraw to discuss the issues in private, if you like. And then we'll come back with an answer when we are ready. So I will look at Jade or Rachel. We somehow have to leave this screen and go to somewhere else, but we will come back. We will deliberate and come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll now stop the recording and send the members over to the breakout room. Thank you.